Beep, beep. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this thing that we like to call Northern News Now Plus on the Northern News Now Plus app. I'm your host, whether you like it or not, Matt Rasmussen, a.k.a. the morning show director here, a.k.a. local filmmaker, a.k.a. the King of Halloween, a.k.a. The host of Movie Mondays with Matt. So thanks for tuning in on this episode. We're going to be talking a little bit about the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie today. So, it is back on the big screen to celebrate its 35th anniversary. And, what a nostalgia trip, really. Let's get into this particular movie by recapping a little bit of the franchise here. So, let's start back at the very beginning. The Ninja Turtles first hit the scene in 1984 with their comic book series called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Are the guys that drew the Ninja Turtles, and it was kind of a joke when they made them. It was never supposed to be a big thing, but they published the comic book kind of as a joke, and it really took on a life of its own. It took on its own following, and based on the popularity of that, they decided let's merchandise it a little bit and make some toys. So then they figured out, they got in touch with a guy who was able to help them figure that process out, and they came to the agreement that the best way to go about it was to launch a television show tied into the toys so that the kids would then want to buy the toys. So that's how the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series was launched. And of course, that was the phenomenon that we know it is now. That's what made the Ninja Turtles a household name. And to strike when the iron was hot, the smart thing that they did at that time was say, hey, let's make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And yes, indeed, they did. So hot off of the success of Batman, which was dark and gritty, this is the direction that the filmmakers wanted to take with this particular movie. And this was the way to go for many reasons. First of all, yes, Batman was front of mind. And second, the shadows and the dark would be a good way to make the costumes and the suits look a little more mysterious and hidden in the shadows. And really, it kind of hides like the eye holes and the slits that you see in the Turtle costumes. But let's get into who brought the Ninja Turtles to life on the big screen. Was indeed Jim Henson, who, of course, he made the Muppets and all of that. And this is one of the last projects he ever worked on. And it was his task to bring the Turtles to life. And he was a little standoffish about it at first, because the Turtles are, they fight, they have weapons, they're ninjas, all these things. And it's not exactly what he was known for or specifically believed in, but he believed enough in the project to take it on. And through the magic of what his company did, the 4 Ninja Turtles were brought to life and are still the most convincing portrayal of the Ninja Turtles on the screen. That even includes into the sequel, which they still look good, but they're more cartoony and colorish in the sequel. Anyway, part 1, it was the largest grossing independent film of all time at the time. It really broke all records, and as far as the 90s were concerned, this is the most successful independent film. It finally was dethroned by the Blair Witch Project in 1999. That's a long time to reign king for something that was that special to so many people. So anyway, the Ninja Turtles, it has our 4 main Turtles as the characters. The story follows where, they're hidden from the world, they're not supposed to make their presence known, and they have to rescue a brand new friend of theirs, April O'Neil, played by Judith Hoag, and they rescue her, bring her into their world a little bit. She learns who they are, and then that's when they're forced out of the shadows, when the Foot Clan come and attack them, and then Shredder reveals himself. He's always been the big bad. He's the best big bad that they have. and he is absolutely terrifying on screen. The foot soldiers, you know, they have their own little presence on screen. I won't say that they're terrifying either, but they're, you know, they have their little charm on screen. Splinter was brought to life by Kevin Clash. He's the guy that operates Elmo on Sesame Street, and he also did Baby Sinclair, not the mama, on the Dinosaurs show that would then come out the following year, airing on ABC's and into TGIF, if you remember that show. So, Ninja Turtles came out, and Turtle Mania was born. Not only was this like the most successful independent film of the 90s, this took the Ninja Turtles property and skyrocketed it into like lengths we've never seen. That's when so much merchandise came out. Like, they didn't merchandise this first movie as much because the execs were a little concerned about, you know, how dark it was and the violence and things. And there was a little bit of a public outcry, a little bit, more than a little bit of a public outcry from the parents and even a little bit from Judith Hoag herself. That's probably why Judith Hoag is not April O'Neil again in the sequel. Anyway, and that's why things were toned down and changed a bit in the sequel. But this is the Turtles in their rarest, purest, rawest form. And it's just great. It's every kid grew up watching this movie. Every kid loves this movie. It's the best Ninja Turtles movie that there is, like bar none. So let's recap a little bit more of the franchise going forward. So then the sequel came out the following year, like one exact year later. Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, came out. And, you know, that was successful and great in its own way. And I enjoyed that one. That's one of the only movies I saw on the big screen as a kid. But that one was way more toned down and way more kid-friendly and way more cartoonish. And the Turtles weren't allowed to use their weapons. And, you know, it had its own little side story, and it was fun. It's the second best Ninja Turtles movie of all time. So there's that one. Then we have Ninja Turtles 3, which came out in 1993, and that one is just bad. It's the Turtles go into time, they go to ancient Japan, they waste the whole movie in ancient Japan when they could be going to different time zones and doing things like the video game. Everyone's disappointed in part 3. There was a lot of merch, and some of the merch is cool. The movie itself is not great, and that killed the Ninja Turtle franchise on the big screen for a while. They were going to do a fourth movie, and it just didn't happen. There is a fourth movie which came out in 2007, which is connected to those movies. It's just called TMNT. And, you know, that one's okay. That came out after the 2003 Ninja Turtles came out. It was the reboot of that show. And it was a great show. I think it's the second best incarnation of the Ninja Turtles on the TV, as far as I'm concerned. We also have to mention Ninja Turtles, The Next Mutation, which came out in 97. Not good. Hated that show and everything it stood for. It was so bad, I couldn't. I've tried many times to watch it. Cannot. It was controlled by Saban, the guy that does the Power Rangers, and it was just mishandled. Venus de Milo comes in. She's like the fifth Turtle, and it just, no. We just didn't need that show. And that kind of killed the franchise for a while. Anyway, 2003, the reboot came out. Great. Then we have the 2009 series finale of that show called Turtles Forever, which was great. And that brought in the 2003 Turtles and the 1987 Turtles. Worlds collide. They even meet up with the comic book Turtles. It was great. It was the ultimate coming together of all the Turtles. Worlds collide. It was great. Then what else do we have? Then we also have the 2012 animated series from Nickelodeon, which was amazing. The 2014 Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, horrible. I don't need to go off on that. Then there was a sequel to that in 2016, Ninja Turtles Coming Out of the Shadows. Horrible. I don't really need to go into that. And then we have a couple of other like direct-to-video, direct-to-TV movies. We have the Ninja Turtles versus Batman, which was amazing. And then we have Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2017. Not good. I couldn't. That was also on par with the Next Mutation. Couldn't watch that one. The movie I saw, and you know, it was okay. It was better than the show. I'd say watch the movie and not the show. What else? And then we have, I covered all the movies. Yeah, I think I covered all the movies here. And then, which brings us to the most recent movie, the 2023 Seth Rogen produced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And that was fun. It was its own thing. You see the Turtles in a different light. They're actually teenagers in this one. They're little, they think like teenagers. I thought it would be a lot more gross out humor than we got, and it wasn't. It was pleasantly surprising and fun, and there is a sequel to that coming out as well. And that, my friends, I believe is your Ninja Turtles recap for now. That's 35 years worth of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right there. So, that was a very glossed over recap. I suppose I could have gone for like an hour yapping about the Ninja Turtles, but there's the long and short of it. I'll probably do another episode if more Ninja Turtle things come out, like I know there's the sequel that'll be coming out next year, the Seth Rogen sequel. So stay tuned for those things. And, you know, in the meantime, take care, my friends, and I will see you next time.